All right, welcome into my post-game reaction podcast. Penn State, Iowa. Penn State has an absolute dominant performance today, 31 to nothing, just a drubbing of the Iowa Hawkeyes. It was beautiful to see. I am so sick and tired of those scumbags, and we got revenge from 2021. I'm usually not a big like revenge guy, or they did this to us all the way back in 2007. Like we need payback. Today I was though, because what they did in 2021 was just outrageous, booing our injured players on the field. The image of the guy with the shoulder, it's etched in my brain, and especially that was the downfall, the start of the downfall of that 2021 season for us because of those injuries. So yeah, I wanted to beat the hell out of them today, and we did, 31 to nothing. I'm recording this from a hotel room out in Beaverton, Oregon. This is a little bit of a weird game day for me. We were out here covering the Roofball US Open. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Roofball, but if you're not familiar with it, you should definitely go check it out. You should watch the replay of the event today. It's on the Barstool Sports YouTube page. You could also follow the Barstool Yak, YAK, not YAC, like yards after catch, YAK. I was posting a bunch of clips from it on that account. Awesome day. It is a dude's rock type of sport. So we were covering that today. And then immediately after that, went straight into the whiteout. We were at Buffalo Wild Wings getting something to eat because we were starving, watching the first half there, and then came back to the hotel room, watched the second half here. So jam-packed day, but a very fun day. I also apologize. This is the first time that I'm doing one of these. It's the first time I have a microphone right here. I have no idea how this audio is going to turn out. I might have to really tweak it in post. But hopefully, once we do a little bit more of these, it will get better. So I apologize if it's tough on the ears right now, but I'm going to try and do one of these after Ohio State, going to try and do one after Michigan, the big games at least, maybe a Big Ten championship, who knows? But in the meantime, we're talking Iowa, and I am very excited to talk about this game. Got to rip some takes off here in the wee hours of the night. And yeah, I'm still getting used to this time difference, 3 hours. My brain is mush right now, but we'll work through it. Just overall impressions of the game, overall impressions of the whiteout. By the way, if you see me looking at one of these, I have sticky notes that I just wrote some quick notes down on stuff I wanted to talk about because I have no other paper in this hotel room. The whiteout looked spectacular. I was really scared. And credit to Penn State, the football team, for posting so much on social media this week, telling people it's going to rain. Get your white ponchos. There's no excuse to not wear white. I was very concerned that it was not going to be that great of a look in terms of, this whiteout compared to past whiteouts, because it hasn't rained at a whiteout since 2016, to my knowledge. I think that's the last time, when it was Ohio State, the blocked field goal and everything like that. I was afraid that it was going to be a little bit rough. It was not going to look as pure of a whiteout as it usually is. I thought people were going to bail. I thought there were going to be empty seats. Not at all. People showed out. They were loud. They were disruptive. They had a clear impact on the game. I mean, Cade McNamara looked lost for so much of this game. And I think there was even one point where he went to the sidelines and he's mouthing. You can kind of lip read a little bit. He's saying, like, I can't hear. I can't hear right now, which was great to see. False starts, close to delay games, everything. Crowd was having such an impact today. Second largest crowd in Beaver Stadium history, which again was shocking. Couldn't believe that, but kudos to everybody who showed out. It was a great showing for Penn State. It looked amazing on television, dude. It was unreal. CBS, I had some people saying, oh, I don't like Brad Nessler. I don't like Gary Danielson. Save them for the SEC, whatever. They put on a great presentation, I thought, tonight. Those aerial shots, I tweeted it out. Unbelievable. We have not seen anything like that, any type of coverage like that for the whiteout ever. I love what ESPN does with college football in terms of how they present the games. They weren't doing stuff like that. CBS killed it. I also thought, for the record, NBC, whether it was on Peacock, I have thoughts about that Peacock game, but just in general, the way that they do replays, there's, graphics, and the way that they have a general rhythm to the game, like, it works. The game against West Virginia, I was at that game, but then I went back and watched it on the replay, and I thought they crushed it. So we've had some really good broadcasts so far. And like I said, the whiteout tonight, it popped like it's never popped before on television, which was great to see. So That's all I have to say pretty much about that, aside from the fact that recruiting wise, clearly you'd want to have this game against Ohio State or Michigan, knock them off, a top tier opponent. But this was a pretty good alternative. I mean, just beating the brakes off of a very decent, a very solid Big Ten program in Iowa, shutting him out. Got to imagine that this was doing wonders for recruiting. I don't know the official numbers on how many recruits were there tonight, but man, this was incredible. Such a fun game. Obviously, a very slow start, which we'll get into. But general notes about the game before we do go quarter by quarter and talking about certain plays and players and all that type of stuff. We now have 11 straight games of 30 or more points. That's the longest streak in the country. We have 9 straight games where we have won where we have won by more than 2 touchdowns, 14 plus. That is outrageous. We're just on an absolute tear right now. We're the only team in the country without a turnover, and the defense has forced 11 turnovers. They are just dudes. They are ball hawks. They are ball hungry at all times. And it's also the first time that Iowa has been shut out in the last 20 years plus. So just an unbelievable day, unbelievable showing. Real quick, just some more stats because these are just absurd to read. We had 97 plays. Iowa had 33. Our time of possession was 45 minutes, 27 seconds to their 14 minutes and 33 seconds. We had 28 first downs to their four first downs all game. 4. And then we had 397 yards to their 76. This was just a bludgeoning. This was not even a contest. Even though, yes, it was a slow start. We did not look that great to begin with. From start to finish, we just absolutely controlled this game. So kudos to both sides of the ball. Kudos to the coaching staff. This was the most complete game we've played all year, and it's up there for the past 2 years in terms of how complete, how dominant this performance was in almost every single aspect of the game. So, first quarter, not ideal. The first drive of the game, I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, well, what's the problem here? Why is this still lingering on from the Illinois game last week? Because let's face it, Illinois, even though, yes, we knew it was going to be a little bit of a test, we knew it was going to be an annoying game, it was still a little bit too concerning for a lot of our tastes. The fact that we weren't able to really capitalize on all those turnovers, we had dumb penalties, we weren't blocking that great. Defensively for Iowa, or not for Iowa, for Illinois, they were throwing different looks at us. They were stacking the box. They were adding in an extra defender or two on the line, and we just had no adjustments whatsoever. Either that, or we just chose not to adjust at all. I don't know what the deal was with that, but the offense was not smooth. The defense, even though they only allowed 13 points, they looked a little bit suspect. They had more of the bend, don't break type of mentality. The possessions where they weren't picking the ball off, they just did not look as solid as they have been in the past. Tackling was off. Those problems, they were worrisome a little bit. But we came in today, and yes, we had a rough first half, mainly just a rough first quarter, but completely absolved all of those issues going into the second half. And from the third quarter onward, it was just a clear, dominant performance all around. So I said coming into this game, I was like, Illinois game was a little bit weird. But if we come in and we beat the crap out of Illinois, or pardon me, out of Iowa, keep getting those confused again, time difference, jet lag, I'm all over the place. My brain is mush right now. If we come in and beat Iowa, I think a lot of these issues are non-issues and people are just going to not care about them at all. And I think that's hopefully where we are today, because once Iowa, we forced that fumble on them, which, I mean, critical play in the game. It was the first quarter, but they're driving down the field. I think they got all the way down to like the 25 or the 20. We force a fumble and we recover it. From that point on, Iowa couldn't do anything. There was a great stat. I think Sean Fitz put it out on Twitter. After that fumble from Iowa, they had 54 yards in the game at that time. In the fourth quarter, there was a point where they still had 54 yards. They had not gained another yard total since that second drive that they had in the first quarter that ended in them fumbling the football. Just absurd. The defense played lights out from that point on. That was what started the onslaught defensively. And I thought, just in general, defense played outstanding. Offense, they worked some kinks out. We'll just get into that right now. Drew Aller, when you look at how many total yards he had, it's not jumping off the stat sheet, but he was very efficient. Again, he did not make any mistakes, as I pointed out earlier. Still not a single turnover from this offense all year. And it's led by a first-year starter. You take that. Only team in the country that has not committed a turnover. And it's because mainly Drew Aller is doing such a nice job from the pocket, being smart with the football, not forcing anything. And he was the same way tonight. Very efficient game from him, despite being in conditions that were not conducive to passing the football. I would like to see him move the ball a little bit more vertically, but I do think that's just what we're dealing with right now in terms of how defenses are trying to play us. It's going to be very difficult to do that. What it seems, and Franklin has kind of pointed this out, they're going to stack the box and they're going to have a bunch of people on the line to try and prevent our running backs from really getting into a groove. Then they're going to have their DBs way back and they're going to play the softest coverage imaginable. And they're going to give us that in between in the passing game, in between the line, the secondary, that middle portion of the field. You can have that, but you're not going to blow the top off of our defense and you're not going to be able to throw it long. So that's kind of what we have to work with. That's at least been what it has looked like throughout the first 4 games of this year, where we're kind of throwing these, short passes. We're not really able to take deep shots down the field. That hopefully will change. I don't know. But yeah, Drew Aller so far has just been taking what the defense has been giving him. And like I said, he's not forcing anything. He's not making these errant throws. He's being very smart. And he had a really solid game again tonight. Even last week against Illinois was not a great showing. Granted, it was his first road game ever, his first road Big Ten game ever. You look at a lot of, film breakdowns and everything, though, people are all saying, yeah, like he was not as bad as everybody thinks he was last week. He actually had a pretty solid game. It was just a weird one. It was a weird game where the defense was throwing different looks at us, and we'll probably never see those looks again throughout the rest of the year. Like, he's going to be just fine. And he was just fine in this game. So that was very positive to see. 4 touchdowns on the day. A couple of them, I thought we were definitely going to try and run the ball in, but no, we were throwing. He had that great one to cap it off to Keandre Lambert-Smith on the fade in the back corner of the end zone, which was a perfect pass. And the zip that he had on a couple of those passes, the one to Khalil Dinkins, it's 4th and 1. I'm expecting us to run the football. I'm expecting us to do maybe another quarterback sneak like we had been doing pretty good amount of the time when we were in those short 4th and 1s. Instead, he lines up in shotgun and he's throwing a dart to Khalil Dinkins in the end zone. That one was right on the money. Great catch by Khalil Dinkins, too. He had another dart to Tyler Warren. Like, he's just throwing lasers, dude. Absolute lasers. Also, if the secondary is going to be playing that far off of our receivers, the fact that he's able to make pretty much any throw on the field and go across the field all the way to the opposite numbers, that's going to pay dividends so much. It already is, because he's able to throw the ball with such zip and such accuracy. He's throwing it on time, on target. And because the defenders are playing so far off of our receivers, if they could just curl back to the football, those simple curl routes are open pretty much all the time. And we're going to be able to get 10 yards, 11 yards, 12 yards, moving the chains through the air. Hopefully, I hope we start to utilize that a little bit more. We didn't really do that a lot to start this game off. We were doing a lot of screen passes, which didn't make much sense to me. I don't know. Again, I'm also not an X's and O's type of guy, but I do think the fact that he can just throw it anywhere on the field with ease is going to be such a benefit moving forward as we get into bigger competition against Ohio State, against Michigan. He is that dude. He is legit. He's everything that we wanted him to be. And so far, he has been so poised and so comfortable. Also, the post-game interview with him, I don't know if you guys saw it. He's eating Berkey creamery ice cream. And he's like, I don't know what to do with this. After he took one bite, he's like, do I give this back to you? Like, he's a kind of a weird kid who, is kind of socially awkward, but a very lovable guy. And Yeah, I think he's a great leader for this program. I wish that there were more leaders because even him, it's not like he's an extremely vocal guy. It's not like he's doesn't seem like somebody who's going to get in your face and like rattle your cage a little bit. But hopefully that's something that comes about throughout the rest of the season. Also, Nick Singleton in that post game interview dropped an F bomb. Dropped an F bomb because hey, that's my effing guy right there. And Drew's response was so funny. He's like, "Yo, we're live. We're live right now." It was great to see that, and we'll just get into Singleton right now because I am fearful, and this is part of the reason why I said you don't know what's going to happen next year. You have the opportunity this year to get it done, to get into the playoff, at the very least, to win 11 games, and then we'll see what happens from there. You got to do it this year. You have to take advantage of this year. You can't say, oh, well, Drew's back next year and all these guys are, but no, we got to take care of business now. I'm scared to death that one of these running backs is going to transfer. Scared to death. That when James Franklin came out a couple of weeks ago and said, unsolicited, I want everybody to know how much we appreciate Katron. Katron is great for our program. Everybody loves him. We should respect Katron Allen a lot more. When he came out and said that, that was a dead giveaway to me. What I read from that was Katron Allen is going to transfer. And James Franklin is trying to do everything in his power to keep him from transferring. Now, I'm scared to death that Singleton is going to transfer because it's been Katron who's been getting the bulk of the carries, at least early on. Today, I think Katron wound up at 21, Singleton wound up with 17. It was still fairly close to even, but at the beginning of the game, it was all Katron. Rightfully so, though, because going back to what I said in my preseason preview, Katron Allen is the better 4-down running back. He is the better pure running back. If Singleton is not reeling off long runs, he's not great between the tackles. He has not been great this year at making people miss. I hope it's something that he's in a little bit of a slump right now and he's able to get back into it later. I don't know. But he has not been the Nick Singleton that we knew from last year, mainly because, he has not been able to escape at all. I think he averaged 2.9 yards a carry in today's game. Now, granted, Katron wasn't much better. Katron's not reeling off long runs either, but it's concerning. It's a little bit concerning. I think Katron definitely was the guy today, should have been the guy today in those types of conditions where the other team knows that you're going to be running the football. I trust Katron more to go between the tackles, to make people miss, to get that extra yard or two after being hit. I think he's the better 4-down running back, but I love both of these guys. And I hope they're able to figure it out like they did last year, where it could be the thunder and lightning, but right now it's really not. Both of them are struggling a little bit, but as of right now, I give the slight nod to Katron, and I'm glad that he started today. I'm glad that he got the bulk of the carries. It suited the game today. But I'm worried about Singleton. I don't know what's going to happen with this group next season, but again, for those people who are saying, "Oh, we'll have them all back next year," you don't know that. I was starting to sense some unrest within the Lawn Boys, but seeing Singleton get up there in the post game interview and say, "Yo, that's my guy right there," and drop an F bomb as he's all excited and everything, that was good to see, because you always do, you worry that he's going to be all mopey. I didn't score a touchdown today, or I didn't, average 5 yards a carry today. I didn't go for a 60-yard run today. But he seemed in high spirits. I think it speaks to both of those guys and to that overall group. They keep their head held high. They're happy for the team's success. They're happy for their other running back success. And I did like to see that today. Receiver, Keandre Lambert-Smith has clearly emerged as the number one option, which is scary. Keandre Lambert-Smith will be the death of me. He will. I think he makes great plays. He's got that big playability. He's got a lot of speed. He is definitely the guy that Aller trusts the most, but he just makes some dumb penalties sometimes. Like today, why are you grabbing the face mask of a guy after you've already stiff-armed him to completion? You're done. You've done your job. You've already stiff-armed him. You've gotten him off of you. Why are you then grabbing his face mask as an offensive player? Just, it did not make any sense. And also, there was the one play, thankfully, it wound up not being a backwards pass. They ruled it as a forward pass. We were trying to do that screen action to Keandre, and then he was going to launch a second pass downfield. wound up, play got busted. He's running around with the football. He loses 10 yards because he's trying to make people miss. I'm like, dude, cut your losses. The play didn't work. Either go down or chuck it out of bounds, whatever. It was infuriating to watch. He is not the smartest guy on the field, but he does make big plays. And he had a great touchdown catch today. And like I said earlier, it was a beautiful pass from Aller. It's very obvious that those two have a chemistry. So, hey, it works. But I am scared a little bit. He also had a terrible penalty last week where I think it was unsportsmanlike conduct. He was dicing it up. I'm like, why are you doing that? It made no sense. So I worry a little bit about him. But what are you going to do? Drew's still playing fine. Tight ends got involved more today, too, which was a great sign. Theo Johnson, not really having many impactful plays, but he got a lot more targets today. Tyler Warren, 2 targets for 2 touchdowns. You take that. And Khalil Dinkins, who I was very excited about in my preseason preview. I wanted to see what he would add. Came up with his first touchdown today. And like I said, that was a dart from Aller. He came up with it, no problem. Also, Trey Potts, going back to the running backs, he's come along very well. At first, I thought he was too bad when it came to getting north and south. He was just trying to go sideways the whole time. I was like, dude, get up. He's gotten a lot better at that, though. He's able to fall forward for a lot more yards. And actually, I'm getting a text from the roof ball guys. Here, they asked me what the final score was. I will tell them 31-0. There we go. But anyway, Trey Potts, I thought played a great game today in his limited opportunities. And going back to the quarterback, I'm missing out on so much here because I have nothing written down really. And I'm just very excited. I have so many thoughts about this game that I want to rattle off. Bo Perbula had a great game coming in the fourth quarter. It was awesome how it's the whiteout against a Big Ten opponent. And we did have the entire fourth quarter to put subs in and get people more reps. He played great. I have no idea how opposing defenses can't stop the QB draw. You know it's coming. But he's such a talented runner and he's great at reading blocks and he's still able to pick up yardage. My big concern with him, though, is we're trying to do our best to keep him from transferring, yet we won't let him throw the football. We keep doing, and hey, if he likes to run, great. But I want to see him throw. I want him to get that type of experience. I want him to get those types of reps, not just, oh, yeah, take the snap and run with it. Have him throw the football, man. I hope to see more of that in the future. But regardless, offense played a great game today. Offensive line, I think they've only allowed 1 sack through 4 games. Worried about them a little bit last week. They were a bit overwhelmed by Illinois stacking the box. No problem today whatsoever. You hope that we can get a little bit more explosive in the run game, but whatever, we'll work with it. It's still early in the season. Next week, we got Northwestern. They beat Minnesota today, so watch out. They are on a little bit of a heater, but we should dominate that game. Then we have the bye week. Then we have UMass, and then we'll be much more improved going into Ohio State. That's what I'm telling myself. I do think we're in a very good spot right now. And these little kinks that need to be, tweaked, these little, I don't even want to call them concerns. These little minor inconveniences that we have as we watch this team and watch this offense, I don't think they are going to be these glaring issues when we play the bigger competition down the road. Defensively, I mean, pay Manny Diaz every single dollar imaginable. Dude, it's unbelievable what this defense did tonight. First of all, past 2 games, what do we have? 9 turnovers total, 4 tonight, 5 last week against Illinois. It's just absurd. They are so ball hungry. It's unbelievable. Defensive line was lights out today on the edge. Adisa Isaac maybe had one of the most disrespectful sacks I've seen in a very long time, where he just completely slammed Cade McNamara to the ground, almost dribbled him like a basketball, stiff-armed his mitt into the ground as he's being blocked. With the one offhand that he has, he just shoves the helmet of Cade McNamara straight into the ground. Chop Robinson was Chop Robinson, and Denai Dennis Sutton, who, again, I was very excited about seeing this season, what strides he took. He played phenomenal again today. So I have no complaints whatsoever about that group. We've been looking forward to seeing this vaunted defensive line. They haven't really been as explosive, and they haven't really jumped out onto the page like they had last year. They did today. Today was their coming out party. Curtis Jacobs, I thought, played a phenomenal game as well. He's really, I mean, playing great football right now, improving his draft stock a whole lot. Thank God he did not go to the draft last year. And then the secondary, what did Cade McNamara have today? 5 completions. This defense was just absurd. First time, as I alluded to earlier, that Iowa has been shut out in over 20 years. Huge, huge kudos to Manny Diaz and that group today. I mean, they made Iowa look like they were a JV team. We absolutely manhandled them. So I am very happy about that as well. What else do I have to talk about? I guess special teams, Caden Saunders, who had been very consistent early on this year. The conditions got to him a little bit. He did muff that one punt. Thankfully, he was able to recover it himself. But I do worry a little bit about his judgment, his decision making when it comes to, oh yeah, do I let this ball, take a bounce and hopefully go into the end zone? Do I go after it? He had a couple questionable decisions on top of, I forget when this was. Maybe it was the first week. Yeah, where he fielded a punt at like the 6-yard line when there was nobody anywhere near him. I'm like, dude, let it go. Let it go into the end zone. So I worry about him a little bit in that regard. But for the most part this season, he's been very consistent in catching the football. I think today was kind of just like a one-off type of thing. And then when it comes to field goals, also sloppy conditions, it impacts the ability to kick a 40-yarder or 45-yarder, whatever it was. Falcons missed that one, but I'm not concerned. I do lack confidence when they go up there, but I'm not saying to myself, oh yeah, this is going to be a miss. I think they've gotten much more practice, both in practice and in game. And I think we're going to be just fine in that regard as well. But man, I mean, I guess that's pretty much it. When you focus just singular on one game, I feel like I should have much more to say, but I really don't. It was a phenomenal game, which once again started slow, but it was a complete game for the entire second half. Offense, defense, lights out. And we made Iowa look like a poverty program. It was absurd. I saw some Iowa fans tweeting, is it time to fire Kirk Ferentz after this game? Maybe. I don't know. But I probably will be going to the Northwestern game next week. I'm very excited about that. And I can't wait to keep this going, man. This was an amazing game. I thoroughly enjoyed watching it. I hope that you enjoyed watching this or listening to this, whatever. I really have nothing else. I should think of some more stuff to write out next week or whenever I do this next. But until then, thank you for tuning in. My name is Connor Griffin. Great win tonight. We are. And I usually don't curse in these because I want to keep it buttoned up, but Iowa, dude. Them.